This is all still fresh and now I guess I am having second thoughts. My 26F friend, 26F, and I have known each other since nursery. When she got dumped for the first time, I was the one she called. When her father passed away I helped her with the legal side of the funeral. When an ex stole from her I took her to the police station and convinced my parents to let her stay with us until a new door was installed. He kicked it in. I was also the one that turned up on her door at 2 a.m. when she spontaneously miscarried in her toilet late term despite the lockdowns. I helped her clean up the aftermath. Her then BF, now husband, was abroad and couldn't come home immediately due to COVID restrictions. I also stayed with her after she was released from hospital until he arrived. We were always close, or so I thought. After COVID she started a new job and hung out with a crowd that I don't have anything in common with. They are more of a going out and drinking and less going out and bouldering type. So I met her every other weekend, which then turned into every third weekend, and in the end it became a once-a-month thing. I didn't mind. People grow and get new interests, but she always said that I would be her best friend no matter who else entered her life. So naturally I was maid of honor at her wedding. Shocked, doesn't cover it when I found out she was pregnant and I was the last to know. She told me at the 5-month mark, and only because I asked her due to weight gain. However, I thought the trauma and the fact that I was there last time made her have some negative feelings about telling me, so I put it behind me. I called a few of her new friends when she was 7 months to arrange a baby shower for her, as she had over the years shared exactly what she had envisioned for it. A number of them replied and said she didn't want a baby shower and that people were going to drop off gifts at her place on the Thursday evening, this week gone. She is 8 months. I phoned her and asked if she really didn't want a baby shower and she confirmed as much. She told me to just drop off the gifts. She asked me if I was still good for paying for the crib and accessories for it as we had agreed upon for her first pregnancy. I said yes. Thursday I dropped off the crib and other stuff, but her mother answered, telling me not to contact her before next week as she wasn't going to be in. I found it odd as at this point she is in her 8th month and should be resting. Some friends texted me what I was doing Friday evening. Some of them I hadn't been in touch with for a while. On a hunch I went to her place on Friday evening under the guise of giving her a small gift I had forgotten to give her. Her front door was decorated and there was music playing at her house. I had to bang on the door before someone finally came and opened it. It was her mother again and she looked bothered by my presence. She asked me what I was doing there and told me my friend was out. I pushed past her and found her sitting in her living room surrounded by her new friend groups and some of our mutual friends too. I turned to her mother who had followed me and said she is here, to which this dumb bitch replied, oh, she must have just popped back in. Like WTF. So I left. Yesterday I went by her house and she allowed me in and tried to explain that the baby shower was not really my scene and she tried to spare me from coming to it. It was all for my own good. I didn't buy it and kept pushing her, and in the end she confessed that her new friends weren't very fond of me and they didn't want me to be there. I told her to fuck off and told her that I hoped she would lose this baby too and then get her new friends to clean up after her and her dead baby, packed the crib and other stuff into my car and drove off. She has been texting me about it since yesterday. A few of our mutual friends that were present at the baby shower have phoned me too, but I didn't answer their calls. My brothers found it funny, but my parents told me I was being a petty asshole for taking back the gift, as in our culture and religion you never take back gifts even if you no longer want to be friends with that person. My mother even went as far as saying that I shamed myself by my behavior, as she has now most likely told all our friend group. If I am indeed the I will go back with the gift and apologize. Update. A number of people wanted an update on my situation and I can't get back to that many individually. I contacted 2 of the mutual friends who were invited and had a long talk with them, as they left voice and chat messages for me wanting to talk. I got good advice from Redditors and it seems some of you caught something I was being naive to. I was being used. These 2 mutual friends confirmed as much. The reason the mutual friends had contacted me wondering about my plans was for me to catch on that something was happening without directly telling me, because then they would have to break their word to her. They admitted it was a childish way to go about it instead of talking to me directly. Her new group of friends held it against me that she had cancelled plans to go out with them at the last minute to hang out with me when their friendship was new. After the first few times she always chose them over me as they have more in common. They also seem to be rather immature according to our mutual friends, but they hang out with them as they are okay to be around if you want to have a good time. She is more of a party girl than me, and our mutual friends said she wanted me to stick around so she could call in favors. She had confessed as much to them, calling me the reliable homely aunt for her soon-to-be-born baby. She even said that once the baby was older she could leave this or other babies with me while she would have more time to travel, have her time, and enjoy date nights. Not wanting to believe them blindly, I did phone her to apologize, but she was more concerned about the crib and other gifts than wanting to mutually apologize for her behavior. She said she was hurt and would only forgive me if I pre-agreed to babysit for her once she was able to have fun. I asked her why she wouldn't rely on her new group for that since she clearly preferred them. She said, "Silly, they are not the reliable motherly types." She told me if I didn't agree then she would be very cross with me. That ticked me off as it felt like she was scolding me like a child. I hung up. I did ask her about her mother in the beginning of the conversation, wondering why I was being treated that way when I helped her during her husband's, my friend's father, funeral. She said that her mother was hurt by my rejection of her brother and she agreed that I could do no better than her brother. She said she was hurt that I didn't want to be her friend-in-law. She was hoping that I would be closer to her family if I married into her family, but instead I had turned him down, and he still held a flame for me. She said we are both outdoor types, so she felt insulted that I turned him down, because that meant I thought he was ugly. She has since left me a few messages wondering when I will come back with the crib, but I blocked her last night. I guess that is it. I have booked an appointment with a therapist to figure out who I am, as after some self-reflection I seem to get drawn to people who abuse my kindness and I take it on the chin. I have also cut off contact with other mutual friends that did attend and never contacted me. The two that did I might cut off too, but I have to think it through to see if it would be beneficial for me long term. I need to start thinking of myself and my future. To think I dumped a decent guy a few years back because she put shitty ideas about him in my head, and was very needy during that time, so I had very little time for developing my own relationships. My mother apologized and she says that despite feeling bad about what people might say, she understood it hurt me to not be supported by her. My older brother says not to be too hard on her due to our culture, but to not let others walk all over me, as he says I have people-pleasing tendencies. He said I should have put my foot down with my friend years ago and that he tried to hint as much, but I was not ready to hear it. Crib and some clothes has already been given away, although I still have some of the newborn stuff. One of our mutual friends that did go to the party suggested I donate it to the hospital, as there are probably new mothers who would appreciate the help. For all of you who kept having a go at me for my words that I didn't actually want her baby dead. It came out all wrong due to my emotional state. Maybe you do have the moral high ground and always watch what you say, but I doubt it. Take care all. Story 2. My situation went from bad to worse in a matter of a week and I don't know where else to turn. I need to know if I was wrong. Possibly a validation thing, because life is fucking dumb right now. My wife and I have been together for 8 years and she just gave birth to our first, and last, baby 2 months ago. Up until my wife got pregnant, my mom loved her. I'm not sure WTF is wrong with my mom or why the switch happened, but after my wife got pregnant, my mom started being very clingy to me and started avoiding my wife at all costs. Told everyone she wasn't excited about the pregnancy, etc. I threatened to go no contact with her when my wife was about 7 months along, and after that she snapped out of it for the most part and stopped being so ignorant. The comments 100% stopped, at least. Though she still was clinging to me. Now, a week ago my mom, my sister's husband and my sister's daughter, 12, came over for dinner. I prepared the meal. Before my wife could eat anything, our daughter got fussy, so my wife excused herself to go feed the baby and get her down to sleep. I thought I prepared enough, but apparently not, because my niece was still starving. She's 5 feet 5 inches and 190 pounds. I haven't seen her in a year and she was not that size then, so I didn't exactly portion in an extra 3 helpings for a child, so it's on me. I apologized and told her that I hadn't made any more and offered her crackers, as I was putting my wife's portion in the fridge. After that, I just went outside with my sister's husband to smoke a cigarette and shoot the breeze. Didn't think anything of it. But then I hear yelling from inside. When I walk in, my wife and my mom were screaming at each other. Apparently my mom, who saw me put my wife's food away, gave my niece my wife's portion of food. As I was walking inside, I heard my mom say, "Looks like you can afford to skip a meal," and slapped my wife's stomach. Right as soon as I get ready to step in, literally fast walking toward them yelling, "Enough," my wife wins back and punches my mother square in the face and drops her. The whole house went silent outside of my mom crying and holding her face. I tell everyone to get the fuck out. Immediately everyone leaves and my wife just turns toward the counter and leans with her hands on the counter and face down, eyes closed. I look at my wife and say, "You too, leave, now." She says, "Really?" She's crying at this point. I say a clipped yup. She packs up her and the baby and leaves. I text her that night and say I just need space. I need to decompress and come to terms with what just happened. She doesn't respond. The next 5 days I'm texting and calling and I get nothing. She shows up here today, so 8 days later, and hands me divorce paperwork and my baby and says, "Here, you have a bit to hang out with her while I pack. Where I'm breastfeeding we can work out a visitation schedule that is either at your place or my mother's until she will take a bottle." I told her that's not what I want. I don't want to separate. I just needed time to process her punching my mother in the face. She said, "You needing time to process gave me time to process the fact that I refuse to be in this situation any longer." I defended myself. I initially felt bad and remorseful, but you making me leave when I needed you made me see more clear. I'm done. I'm sorry for what I did, but there's no fixing this. She refused to speak to me at all the rest of the time that she was here. My house feels so empty and I don't know what to do. AITA for making her leave after she punched my mom. I just needed some fucking space. ETA, for the record, I am team wife. My mom deserved it, wholeheartedly, and I've blocked her completely from my life. I literally just needed time to process what happened. My wife is a lot of things, violent is not one of them. So this came completely out of left field and would not have happened without her being provoked. After it all happened, my mom sent me a text saying, "See. I told you she was crazy. That fat bitch doesn't belong in our life." I'm willing to bet she purposely tried setting my wife off. So no, I'm on my wife's side 100%. I truly just needed to process what happened and my wife took it as me giving up on her, not defending her and throwing her and our baby out, which did essentially happen because I knew she had to take the baby with her when I kicked her out. ETA, the reason why, my dad was stupid abusive. I was beat. My sisters and brother were beat. My mom was put in the hospital multiple times. It took years for police to enforce restraining orders and he finally died in 2013. Violence scares the fuck out of me. I clam up and get anxious around violence of any kind now. My wife knows this and she too grew up with a violent dad, stepdad, and she gets just as anxious and panicky around violence. Her punching my mom in the face triggered an anxious response and I needed her gone in that moment. I needed it far away from me. I don't know why I didn't just leave. I could have. But in that moment I just let my emotions and fear run the whole fucking circus and told everyone to get out, her included. My mom did slap her first. I guess for some reason I was seeing my wife's punch as being worse than the slap. It wasn't a hard slap but my wife did kind of wince, looking back on it now. She was fine following but my mom was bleeding. Split her eyebrow open in good shape. Ick. Thanks for the responses. I'm the AH. I'm going to try to go kiss ass now. Thank you for joining me today. Don't forget to connect with each other in the comments below. Until next time, be kind, be curious, and I'll catch you in the next video. Corner Stories signing off.